So that is where 1 million plus people live.
And this is the city of San Jose at the edge of the South Bay. At the 2020 census, we listed as 1,013,000 people here, and that doesn't include all the adjacent cities that surround San Jose.
But in the morning, it looks so pristine. You know, the morning sunrises up here are just so magical. You know, this valley here fills up with fog, but it's a flat layer of fog. And as soon as the sun comes up over there and just peeks over, the sunlight just glistens across that flat layer of fog and causes it to ripple. And the sunlight catches all those ripples and it goes brrr, all the way across. And it's not like that every day, but I would say when the weather warms up a little bit, it's probably there like that 50 or 60 days a year. And this morning, it was exemplary. It was just magic. I look forward to these sunrises, and I get up early, and this mountain paradise that I live in is just so peaceful and so quiet, except for the birds. There's so many birds. This whole forest comes alive. And I don't hear the sounds of the city. I don't hear sounds of cars running by. You know, there aren't any sounds of guns or anything else going on around here. It's just me and the forest. And I have really grown to absolutely love it up here.
What's really interesting is underneath that thick layer of fog, those 1 million plus people have no idea of what kind of a sunrise is going on. They just see that cloud layer, that fog layer up above them. I get to see it, and I feel like I'm really special. No one else gets to see it but me. So I want you to enjoy a few minutes of this special magic moment that's going on up at my property. And I want to share this with you. Look at that. That is just true magic. Then I want to take you on a little tour of the property and show you some of the trees. Thanks for watching.
Got this old rotting black oak that really should come down. I did take the top out of it a few years ago because it was ready to topple, but it's just about ready to bud out. All the new leaves are coming out on this tree, and in just a few weeks, the very first leaves that come out on this black oak come out a brilliant pink before they turn to their normal green color. And it really is amazing. I mean, I love this tree just to see the coloration. I'm afraid I'm going to have to reduce it because of that. I mean, that base there, I think is so rotten. All the way up around. Oh, I just don't want it to continue to get taller and taller and taller so that it reaches a point where gravity pulls it down. And here's a couple of magnificent trees. These are called canyon live oaks. They're evergreen oaks. They stay green all year round. But unfortunately, this one on the left got hammered by the snow last year. And if you look really close, You can still see a big broken top up there. I'm gonna have to go up there and pull that out. There are literally thousands of trees up in the Santa Cruz Mountains with big broken snow load tops. These things are just magnificent, beautiful trees. I've also got this canyon live oak. This thing is enormous. It is so tall. It's easily 100 feet tall. And it also got hammered by the snow. 2 years ago, it had a full canopy. You couldn't see sky through there. That's how much broke out of this tree. And look at the size of the base of this tree. From over here to over there, that's about 6 feet across. And from here to here is about 4.5 feet. That Y right here from this side over to this side is about 7 feet. Look at this giant. I love this tree. And here's yet another giant tree on my property. This is a Douglas fir. It's probably 120, 140 feet tall, but it used to be 2 trees. This one and this one were growing side by side. You can see the indent in there, where the butt of this tree was up against that one. And one year, during a snowstorm, this tree, which was leaning out over here, filled up with snow, and it fell down towards my house. My house is down over there. And this log fell all the way down there. The top of the tree hit that big oak over there and broke off and flipped back this way and missed my house. Yeah, there's a certain amount of risk living in the forest for sure. So if I go up to the top of the hill here, I can look over and I can see the ocean. And I hear that we've got some weather coming in. And it's kind of interesting. When you're at the top of a ridge, the cloud formations are often quite unusual. We've got a lot of interesting clouds coming in right now. And the further down you go, the whiter it gets. So we may have rain coming in tomorrow. Let's go take a look at some of the other trees on the property. Off in the distance here, I have a forest of tan oaks. And as you can see, a lot of them are dead and dying. There's the top of another dead one over there. This big one over here is not looking too good. I've got another huge dead one over there. And if you go into the forest over here, it's dead tree, dead tree, dead tree, dead tree. Just from my driveway, I can count about 30 completely dead tan oaks. And these Lithocarpus are a very important tree to the forest because they produce an awful lot of acorn food for the wildlife. They're a fairly fast regenerating tree, and they seem to take over after past forest fires. Now, interestingly, a lot of these trees are really, really tall, and they're not super fat. If you look way down the forest there, you see lots and lots of straight tan oaks all the way up and over there. I've cut down, probably 100 dead tan oaks in the last 5 years. And interestingly, 10 years ago, there weren't any dead tan oaks. This is primarily due to the sudden oak death, the Phytophthora ramorum, and it is a serious, serious problem with the tan oaks. I love this little hillside part up the driveway here that I come up to. I've got a big outcropping of rock up here. And I just love the way the moss grows on the rock. And at the top of this rock, I've got this magnificent madrone, and it's growing right on top of the rock. All of that tree up there. And it's fairly healthy. It's sitting right on top of that rock. It's been raining a lot lately, so everything is really green and really vibrant. This tree went down in the snowstorm last year, completely uprooted here. It's a madrone tree. It's in the poison oak there. I think I'm going to try and harvest that log. And I've got one nice 8 or 10 foot section of it that's nice and straight there. I'd like to put that on the sawmill. And yet more of the dead tan oaks. They're everywhere. Here's one that fell, that one right there, and it's leaning on this madrone. Probably not a real safe place to be standing. I expect that to be coming down any day now. But it's not really a safe tree to go down and cut because you're on such a steep hillside. I'm not quite sure how to get that down. I think I'll just keep pondering that one. And much of my property is quite steep. It goes way, way, way down the hill into that tan oak forest. If you look down on the forest floor here, you will see literally hundreds and hundreds of little tan oaks coming up. Those are all about 5 to 6 years old. They're resprouting and coming up and filling in for all the ones that have died. Now what I find interesting is very few of the small young tan oaks are afflicted by the Phytophthora ramorum disease, or at least I don't see it. Here's a close-up of what the healthy tan oak leaves look like. Now I don't necessarily want a forest of tan oaks coming up here because it'll just obliterate the forest again, but you know, it's interesting to watch the forest and see how it changes and how it evolves. Old trees die and they turn into soil, and the new trees come back, and it's an ever-evolving process. But there are a few really big, old, significant trees that live for centuries. This fir tree down here, for one, is probably 200, maybe 300 years old. Way down there, I've got a fir tree that's probably 6 feet in diameter, and I would say it's probably 400 to 500 years old. Big, big tree. That tree is from there to there, oh, easily 140 feet tall. More damage from the snowstorm. Like I said, that sort of thing is everywhere up here. So how old is this big bad boy? You know, I did cut off the stump from its sister, which wasn't quite as big, and it's gotten to a point where I can't really count the rings anymore. Interestingly, I put this prop in here because I was afraid this thing was going to roll and take out my house. I suppose I should deal with that. It's seated there pretty good. I just felt that I didn't want it to become a battering ram to my house. I also have a number of dead and dying fir trees, Douglas fir. There's a big bird at the top of that one. I'm not quite sure what it is. Maybe a hawk or something. That's quite a ways away. But I've cut down about 6 completely dead fir trees in the last 2 years. And I've got probably a dozen more all the way on the property that have died. And this part of the property is a real nasty mess. This branch is completely broken. That was all weight from the snowstorm. And if you look up in the woods over there, you can see a big fallen tree and stumps all over the place, all the way down the hill. There's stumps everywhere. I lost probably 20 trees on my property or more when we had 24 inches of snow in 12 hours. That is such an unusual amount of snow. We never get that much snow. And so many of the trees were weakened by 10 years of drought that some of the trees that held on to a lot of the snow, principally the canyon live oaks, hit it pretty hard. Some of the madrones hit it pretty hard. most of the firs held up. Most of the firs tolerated the snow load. Oh, what a mess. So I just need to get up here with my big saw and just start cutting firewood. Cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. Look at that. That big fir up there. Look at the top. The top is starting to get real thin, real sparse. That tree is dying. That's a big fir too.